I'm going to call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Steelgrave. Here. Vining. Here. Germaini. Here. Lamore.
Present.
Felder.
Here.
Whitman. Here. Mayor Clark.
Present. I'd ask we all please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Guide us in our deliberations and discussions this evening. May our efforts promote the good of the residents of this city and all who visit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item, please.
The next item is approval of regular agenda.
Thank you. And Mr. Pastu, I know you sent out an item regarding tonight's agenda.
Your Honor, if we could add under council action, approval of MNDNR demolition bids. I had sent that out earlier, and we can talk in a little more detail if you add that to the agenda.
Okay. Councilman Lamore?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we include under council action an approval of MNDNR demolition bids in our council action. Amend the agenda to do that.
Okay. There's a motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Germaini to amend the agenda to add the item under council action as stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Yes. Whitman? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and under item B, approval of payments to vendors, the amount should read $2,585,938.29, 2585938.29.
Thank you. Are there any items under consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Items on the consent agenda for council's consideration? Seeing none, are there any items on the from those present here this evening that wish to have pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, motion be in order. Councilman Felder?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, and recommendations carried out.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Lamore, that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, and recommendations carried out. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. That was a nice picture up there. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under, I'm going to try to play with this mic for a moment.
Sure enough.
Because it's too loud. That might be better. Is under presentations, communications, and public hearings, item 3651, consideration of memorandum of understanding with Monroe Public Schools regarding dog park.
Thank you. Mr. Pastor.
I may have Mr. Cochran do the introduction.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, Mark Cochran, Economic and Community Development Director. As your packet indicated in the fact sheet, myself as well as Mayor Clark and Vince Pastiu have been meeting with the Monroe Public School Board over the past probably year or so, as the board has expressed a desire to work collaboratively with the city on some projects that make our community better. We've tossed around a lot of different ideas. Had some discussions, and of course, one of the ones that has raised to the top more recently was the idea of a dog park. For over 10 years, the city has had various discussions at various levels and stages about a potential dog park in the city, going back when a fund was established at the Community Foundation of Monroe County for a planned and projected dog park at Munson Park. Fast forward a couple years ago, and we began to look again at the concept and the idea, and looked at different opportunities in different locations around the city. Some of you were on council at the time. For those that are new, We looked in different neighborhoods of the city, looked at places that were a little more centralized. Looking at dog park locations, we were thinking of a place where people could walk to it, neighborhoods that may have smaller yards, and be rather centrally located and within the city, closer to the downtown for the first dog park, not to say that we have to be limited to one. One of the ideas that we had broached at the time was a discussion with Monroe Public Schools about Rossler Field or Rossler Park on Rossler where the water tower is. At the time, the city was using they have 4 baseball fields there. We had been using one of them where this site is located for T-ball at the time. But we've since concentrated and relocated all of our youth ball program out to Munson Park, and so we were no longer using the field. The school board at the time had expressed some concerns about that location for various reasons, and the conversation kind of died off, but it was revisited. Within the past years, we've been having these discussions, and the school board was agreeable to bringing this proposal forward, both to city council as well as their school board, to move the project forward. And so we engaged with Jim Jacobs Architects to look at a potential site plan for a dog park at this location. This location was identified for a couple different reasons. First, it was vacant. It was located within sort of a central part of the city, within a walkable distance to neighborhoods such as Towns on Front. The high-rise across the street could be an amenity that the residents at the high-rise across the street would like to visit and utilize if they could with some of their pets that are allowed there, as well as the fact that it's in the floodplain and can't be built on. And so we developed the site plan that you see on the screen right now. I apologize, it's a little small, but Monroe Public is going to continue to use the 2 ball fields that are immediately adjacent to Rossler. And we designed a dog park in the southwest corner of the park underneath the water tower that includes 2 different dog runs, one for large dogs, one for small dogs. The opportunity to close off each of them for different periods of time to allow the grass to regenerate. A location for isolated dogs who aren't quite ready to play with the big dogs yet and need some socialization. So there's a quadrant that's available for those dogs and those pet owners, as well as amenities like shelter, benches, water, as well as garbage. And so what we wanted to do tonight is to present this concept to City Council. I know Dr. Everly did present it to the school board last week or the week before, which I understand from that report it was met favorably, to have a discussion about a memorandum of understanding if this is something City Council would like to continue to pursue in cooperation and collaboration with the school district for this site, to kind of take it to the next stage to do some more exact site planning. I know Mr. Lewis and Mr. Leroy have both taken a look at it and offered comments that the design doesn't represent completely yet. And then begin to look at funding and management of the dog park in the long run. This isn't something that either the school district or the city is envisioning to build all on their own and expend the resources, but look at grants cooperatively with each other, jointly supported, as well as some sponsorship opportunities and fundraising opportunities with both interested residents and nonprofits of the like. And so wanted to get your feedback and see if this is something that the council would like us to continue to move forward with, and if so, would you consider the memorandum of understanding to work closely with the school board and move this project forward?
Thanks, Mark. I'll see if there's any comments from the council members. Councilman Lamore?
Thank you, Your Honor. Absolutely love to see this go forward. The one question I have, though, is since we just did some work on the water tower, is there room in there to allow maintenance crews to get back in when maintenance has to be done again on the water tower? That's the only question I would have.
Yes, and this is just a conceptual plan at this point, but if you look along the western property line, I know it's very hard to see on the screen, but there is a drive connection that would go up to the water tower, and there's an easement area there that needs to be preserved as well. We're also looking at a master plan for this site. Mentioned the high rise across the street in the neighborhood as well. Not just looking at the dog park, but also an opportunity to put a trail network through the site, connecting into Rossler that would connect into the city's trail network as well. So a comprehensive site master plan.
Other questions? Councilwoman Germaini?
I just want to say this has been a long time coming, and it's about time we go forward with it.
Other comments? I'm seeing positive responses at least. So, you know, I just echo what said. There's been conversation for a long time, and they're all been good conversations and the willingness to see a dog park, and some have been able to move forward with projects. Other maybe still being planned, but it doesn't mean there's can't be more than one dog park within the Monroe County region. I think there's opportunities across not only the city but the county as well. So yeah, it's been a while, and look forward to hearing further as the memorandum of understanding, but also how we get there with not just the cost, but development and interest by residents as well as businesses. Councilwoman Whitman.
Do we still have the funds that were collected before?
So the Community Foundation has funds. I know they were merged with another fund because they sat inactive for such a long time. But they've been engaged in this discussion as well.
I think it's a wonderful thing because a lot of people thought we just didn't like dogs. So I think it's good for the community to know that it's been being worked on.
I'll say too, if the members that were on council recall the last time we talked about this, we had several sites identified and council wanted to hear the neighborhood reaction. And we met with several neighbors and homeowners association about potential locations, and it was a challenge to find the right one.
All right, Councilwoman Moore.
Let's make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with Monroe Public Schools to continue the exploration of opportunities to plan and build a dog park within the city of Monroe, and authorize the mayor and clerk treasurer to sign the document on behalf of the city.
Support.
There's a motion from Councilwoman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Stelgrave to approve the memorandum of understanding for the continue the exploration of the opportunities to plan and build. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Yes. Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 3654. Proceed to Port of Monroe for crane purchase.
Mr. Bastu.
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, I should have probably had this before you approved the payable register, but part of what I wanted to let you know is that it included $1.7 million to the Port of Monroe related to the purchase of the crane, which is an element, significant aspect of the cargo terminal that was the funds we're going to be going to. So just as background, back in early June, council authorized the 1.7 million ARPA proceeds dedicated to the cargo terminal project. A month later, the council approved a fiscal year 2022-23 budget amendment that appropriated a little over $6.8 million in ARPA proceeds to be paid for public safety personnel, which is an eligible use under the ARPA proceeds, but it freed up a corresponding amount in the general fund for project appropriations. And then earlier this month, the port finally received their crane and was assembled there at the port. The purchase of the grant for the project itself, the crane, was coming from the state of Michigan and through the U.S. Department of Transportation's American Marine Highway Projects program, which are reimbursements. You've got to spend the money first to get reimbursed. And so as part of the process, we administration recommended to just treat it as appropriation or for the crane purchase, knowing full well that frees it up on the back end for the terminal project as it was planned. I think it's within the spirit of it, but just wanted to let the council know is going to handle this way. And obviously, when you approve the payable register, that would, put in place the final approval for this. But just thought it was significant enough, I needed to bring it to council's attention.
Okay, I'll see if there's any questions for Mr. Pastou on this item. Any questions, Councilwoman Moore?
Are we looking for a motion on this?
No, I think that was covered with the approval of the payables, but I just thought it was significant enough that I needed to bring it to your attention in a public setting.
So I'll just add to this. We've had the conversation about the port, the development, the opportunities that present that, our investments with the port, on the port operations and use of the ARPA funds. I think this just takes it a path that might be what is needed at this time. And as Mr. Pastou said, and it says within the fact sheet, the port would then immediately apply for the grant programs for the reimbursement. So, and they've had conversations with the entities of the U.S. Department of Transportation and the state of Michigan regarding that. It's just, as Mr. Pastou said, the way it functions is through a reimbursement. And it's falls in line with our discussions on use of the ARPA funds. So if there's no other comments. Thanks, Mr. Pastou. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under council action, item 3653, resolution to approve ballot language to issue debt for police station.
Mr. Pastou.
We, at our last work session, we exclusively discussed the police station project, all of the details associated with it, the rationale for considering it at this point in time to go forward with it, the review of the cost estimates, floor plans, elevations, site plan that went along with it. And so in summary, its bond issue amount is for not to exceed $12.5 million. The project description, we talked a little bit about that, and we internally settled on to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, furnishing, and equipping a police station as an addition to the existing fire station located at East 3rd Street, creating a public safety facility, including all site improvements. We struggled with trying to capture that in there, and thankfully Mr. Buds, who is very good at these things, offered the language and for that. And so the location is obviously adjoining the fire station. So the significance of it is by indicating they're adjoining the fire station is that you can't move it unless you go back to the voters if you decide to approve it. So, and they approve it as well. So the bond amortization period, 21 years. And then we also talked at the work session a couple weeks ago, the estimated millage rate, the first year is 0.98 mils, and that the estimated millage over the life of the bonds would be 0.97. So we talked a little bit about the DTE taxable value that's incorporated with the settlement agreement with us. But at the same time, we took what we thought was a very conservative projection regarding future taxable value growth at 1%. So if there is further reduction, depending on what their decommissioning plans are, that it would be covered as much as we can estimate at this point in time. So the resolution that you have before you includes the ballot language that would go to the electors at the November general election. And in order to do so, would just ask council to consider it approval.
Any questions or comments from council for Mr. Pastou? Just a couple, just in review. I know that the city council's had a conversation about this. We had a committee as far as discussion of that with Councilwoman Stalgrave and Vining and myself, and also Clerk LaHoy was present because as we move forward in this discussion about the language for the ballot. I don't know if Mr. Pastou, if that makes any comments. I know there's usually a process that goes through, but this was, or either yourself or Clerk LaVoy, just this is able to do this at this time and make sure, to make the timeline that's there, maybe that would be beneficial. I don't know.
Good. Yeah, it does meet the timeline. I think you have to have all ballot language to the clerk by the 16th, so.
If council wishes to proceed, it would need to be approved tonight, though.
Okay. So I guess I make those comments for those present and those watching is because we've had previous conversations, had the committee, went through a variety of meetings as well as we worked looking at this and how we unify our public safety, fire and police and location, but also at our last work session, there was a discussion about this as well. So I'll just stop there in case there's any other comments. If not,
If I,
go, Mr. Pastu.
just in the resolution, it talks about this action taking place at a regular meeting at 7:30. So if you would recognize, if you take action, that it's at the 6 o'clock meeting, since we changed the time frame for it. So
Okay.
good catch by Mr. Lewis here, so.
Okay. Councilwoman Stelgrave,
I'll make the motion, Your Honor.
if you would, please.
Approve the resolution approving the ballot language for the November 8 general election to issue bonds for a new police station.
Motion by Councilwoman Stelgrave, supported by Councilwoman Germaini on item 3653, the resolution to approve the ballot language for the issue debt on, for the police station. Any final comments, Councilman Lamore?
Yeah, just one. Do we need to have the year on there? November 8th, 2022, general election, just to solidify the date?
I don't believe so, and the reason I say that is the bond attorney drafted the language for the ordinance, or for the ballot language.
Thank
You were
you.
saying in the motion, though, is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Yeah, the motion, because the motion says for the November 8th
Oh, I
general
gotcha.
election.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the motioner and say, would you add the 2022 to? Just if you would add the 2022 for the date
So we'll add November 8, 2022.
in the supporter? Okay. Thanks, Councilman. Any other comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 3629, demolition of boiler house and silo at the former Lazy Boy World Headquarters site.
Mr. Pastu?
Thank you, Your Honor. As you recall, initially when we solicited bids for the demolition of the old Lazy Boy building, we included demolition of the boiler and the silo to see if there was some potential future use with it. I think from the developer standpoint and certainly from a staff standpoint, we're not sure what we can do with it. Certainly the boiler house was going to be phenomenally expensive to do any renovation with it, given its environmental condition. And so we ended up soliciting bids for the demolition of both. The low bid came in the amount of $73,000 with Homrich, who was actually the contractor that did the demolition almost 2 years ago. And so we're recommending approval of those bids in the amount of $73,000 for an encumber $80,000 in the event that there's some contingencies associated with it.
Thank you, Mr. Pastu. Other questions or comments from Mr. Pastu from the council? No comments or questions regarding item 3629. A motion will be in order.
Your Honor, make a motion that a contract for demolition and hazardous materials abatement of the boiler house and silo at the former Lazy Boy World Headquarters be awarded to Homrich of Carrollton, Michigan, in the amount of $73,000, that a total of $80,000 be encumbered to include 10% contingency, that the mayor and clerk treasurer be authorized to sign the contracts on behalf of the city, and the director of finance/assistant city manager be authorized to make any necessary budget transfers.
Support.
Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Stelgrave on item 3629, the demolition of the boiler house and silo of former Lazy Boy World Headquarters site. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Yes. Whitman?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 3650, authorization for code enforcement legal action against Oak Forest Apartments.
Thank you, Mr. Pastu.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think Mr. Cochran is setting up a presentation related to that. I don't know if it's ready or not.
It should be up in a moment.
There we go. So I'll have Mr. Cochran walk through the presentation, and at the end, we'll be asking for authorization to proceed with legal action associated with the various blight violations.
Mr. Cochran.
And again, as City Council knows, we've been stepping up our blight and rental housing inspection ordinances. And one of the challenges that undoubtedly you're aware of, as well as numerous complaints that we've gotten at the city, is the condition of the Oak Forest apartments and townhouses that are located on Twin Oaks Drive, right off Fredericks Drive in South Telegraph or North Telegraph Road. The property is owned by an LLC out of Southfield, Michigan, which we understand is a subsidiary of Resco, which is a property management company that purchased the property in April 2017. Oak Forest has a total of 183 units. And I'll say, I want to express my appreciation to my staff, especially Chris Baer, our rental housing clerk, who has compiled all the data that we're presenting to you tonight. But out of the 183 units, only 36 of the units have been certified. Over the past couple years, we've had a lot of challenges in trying to gain access to complete the inspections to certify the rental units. Part of the challenge, of course, was due to the COVID-19 pandemic, when we did stop doing rental housing inspections for a period. But we've since resumed those. We've resumed those for some time now. We've had inspections scheduled with the property owner, only for them to be canceled for various reasons on the property owner's fault, I will say, either due to staff not showing up or us being locked out or constantly rescheduling the planned inspections. So that's how we were able to certify 36 of those with Chris's diligence in trying to get those scheduled and work out a schedule with the property owner in the past several months. We have 44 of those units are only certified until August 31st. So on top of that 36, 44 of those are certified through the end of August, when they'll be due for reinspection again. Out of the units that we've inspected, we found 52 violations within the development. The 44 that are certified through the end of August have scheduled inspections, and we hope that those will be upheld and continue on to inspect the rest of them. 7 of the 183 units have been shut down, which means they're not occupied, they're not renting them out right now, and their certificate of occupancy has been rescinded. Out of the violations, the violations that have been identified throughout our rental inspections, 27 of those have been building issues. Handrails are an issue in an area where there's steps. There's deficiencies with the windows. There's areas where the roof has deficiencies and need repair. Structural damage to the units as well. So we're not talking just fire alarms that need batteries here. 22 electrical violations, 14 plumbing violations, and 10 water heater violations, for a total of 73. On top of the rental housing program, we also have significant property maintenance citations that we've been trying to work with the property owner on with no success. Annually, going back to 2017, we've received multiple complaints and issued multiple citations every year due to high grass and weed violations. You'll see in some of the pictures as well, the parking lot is in a stage of severe disrepair, I'll say, gently. We've had issues with the dumpster enclosures being in a state of disrepair or just lack thereof, as well as significant building maintenance issues as well. And so in addition to not being able to successfully certify the rental units as part of the rental housing program, the citations that we've issued, the fines have continued to increase, and we've not had much success in being able to work with the property owner to have them addressed and rectified. So these are pictures that have been part of the citations for the past year or so. I'll say the dumpster violations, I did go out there last week and they did build new dumpster enclosures around the dumpsters. I mentioned to Mr. Pasteur today, I would appreciate if they would actually put the dumpsters in the enclosures rather than sitting them outside. But this has been some conditions that we've identified. Even when I was out last week, there was quite a bit of trash around the new dumpsters and dumpster enclosures. Here's one where it's just missing. The property maintenance concern, this was a photo in one of the citations that one of our inspectors took. You can see obviously the gutter is hanging off the building. That's been rectified. The gutter has been removed from the building altogether. Last week when we were out there, we noticed. This is one of the areas where the building conditions are deteriorating. This is the front of one of the occupied units when I was on the property last week. In this photo, you can see this is the back of one of the units where the divider or the privacy fence in between the unit's patio is actually just falling over and laying on top of a bush. And these are all one photos you can see visibly from the road. I took these from my truck, didn't even have to get out. This is one of the photos that shows the disrepair and the condition of the roof with shingles falling off one of the units. And then the potholes, I know Mr. Pastu asked if members of City Council would take a ride over there. I don't know if you have, but these are photos from past citations. I didn't take any last week while I was there, but I'll say they've grown and deteriorated quite significantly even from when these pictures were taken. And it's every parking lot within the development as well. And so given these significant challenges and our lack of ability to find resolution with the property owner, we're asking City Council to authorize the city attorney to file the necessary motions in circuit court against the property owner so that we can make an effort to at least try and get some of the deficiencies repaired for the time being.
Any questions for Mr. Cochran? Councilman Felder, I'll start there.
Thank you. Not so much a question, but more of a thank you in terms of the culmination of this process. I had residents in my precinct, this is in my precinct, of course, complain about the property. I bought it and brought it to the administration's attention only to find out that they had other ongoing issues with this property, including unpaid bills, which are not covered here. And you know, the more we went in to investigate it, the more and more issues that we found. So I'm certainly very glad that we're taking action here. I have begun to hear complaints from residents in my precinct about other rental properties there as well. And I'm not comfortable with some of the conditions that my residents are having to live in at some of these places. So I hope that this serves as a you know, a wake-up call to some of the other property management companies out there that are not keeping up their end of the bargain, that we will take action on this and we will pursue you because the conditions that they're having our residents live in are not acceptable. So I'm certainly glad that we're doing the rental inspections and that we're following up on this. So thank you to the administration and to you, Mr. Cochran.
To that point, if I may, Your Honor, given I don't want to get too off topic of this particular property, but wanted to touch on your point about some of the other rental properties in the city we've been working on. We're going to be bringing to City Council a discussion to have with those other property owners that we've experienced the same sort of roadblocks in the future and how to deal with those.
Thank you.
Councilman Lamore.
Yeah, Mark, could you go back to your first photo? I shouldn't be amazed. This has been going on for a while. If you look at the structure in the background there, it looks like there's a window boarded up. Am I correct in saying that? I mean, I could just see violations with, this is ridiculous. This is a slumlord here that's operating this. This is horrible. Nobody should have to live in this. So we're going to take the responsibility and do what we need to do. This is ridiculous. Nobody should have to live in this.
Councilwoman Germaini.
What's the occupancy percentage of these apartments, do you know? Are they 100% rented?
No, because 7 of them have had their certificates rescinded or taken back. Out of the remaining 176, I'm not sure how many of them are occupied right now.
Okay. Other comments? Councilwoman Stelgray.
Well, I did take a drive through there last week as well, and I had to miss all the potholes and that. So At that point, I'd like to make this motion.
Sure. If there's no further comments. Mr. Buds?
Just briefly on this one, when we have issues that we've been working through with, I'll say, individual property owners, we tend to give a few more notices. I'm going to say, given the fact that this is a, I'll say, property management company and a large corporation that's running these units and the number of people that are affected, I think that it's appropriate for the council to be considering this. And I just wanted to say there is some dichotomy in how we look at these on a, I'm going to say, case-by-case basis. And I think this is one that needs, I'll say, prompt attention, and I support the going forward on this one.
When we look at this and look at it's not the residents here, and we're trying to make this as positive we can for the residents and that they can retain, and obviously it's about housing residents, but they have to be in livable conditions. And I think I, again, thank the staff as well. Councilwoman Stelgrave.
I move to authorize the city attorney to file the necessary complaints in circuit court against the OFTH 172 LLC to address the blight conditions at Oak Forest Apartments.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Stelgrave, supported by Councilman Lamore on item 3650, authorization for code enforcement legal action against Oak Forest Apartments. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Yes. Germaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Clerk, next item.
The next item is Demolition Bid Award.
Mr. Pesto, I know that you made some opening comments. Is there anything further you need to go into some further detail?
Brief introduction. Thank you, and appreciate the council's indulgence of adding this item here. What it is we've acquired 5 properties on East Elm through the Michigan National Resource Trust Fund grant and solicited bids for the demolition at this point in time. I probably would have had it on earlier, but Mr. Sell reminded me, or through Mr. Cochran, that we haven't taken this to council yet. I thought for some reason I had broader authority to approve these demolitions associated with the grant, but otherwise, so. The other part, I think it's important, we list the properties here, but also that we are taking the second low bid, the low bid from VinCon. We have had experience with in the past. Their work is fine, but it's not consistent in the timing, and we know that with David C. Huffman and Sons, that it'll get done in a fairly quick manner. And we still think the prices are really good, for taking down 5 units, a couple of them which are pretty good size. So we would ask council to approve approve the bids tonight and award to David Hoffman and Sons.
I'll see if there's any questions. I have a question for Mr. Cochran on this too, just for everybody's clarity, but I'll see if there's questions from others first. I know you're well aware of what this is, and I think many that are here and listening may be as well. But again, the funding for this is the Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant, and it's been a long process, and it's many moving pieces to this. And as we move forward, just a review that the funding for this comes from and how that is.
Yep, the properties were acquired by a grant that the city received in 2017 from the Natural Resources Trust Fund, which is a program that's managed by the Michigan DNR. These funds are received based on the royalties that the state gets from oil and gas and mineral rights on state land. And so that's how the trust fund is funded. The city received the grant for property acquisition within the Heritage Corridor. These are properties that were acquired as part of that. The properties were acquired from willing sellers. And either the owner occupant or the tenants, depending on the applicability of the situation, were provided with relocation benefits and the reimbursement of moving expenses as part of this program. The requirement is that we have to demolish the properties within 90 days of purchase. And these 5 were purchased within probably, I'd say, the last 6 months or so after the occupants have all vacated.
And there was no eminent domain on any of these properties is not allowable with these funds, correct?
Willing sellers only.
Yeah,
correct.
I appreciate it. I think why it's important to review it. It's been 2017. Council's well aware. Many people in the community are well aware of this whole program process, but there's others that maybe first time they're hearing about it and thinking about or acquiring property and the reasons for and where the funds come. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and just one more note, this is the last 5 properties we'll be able to acquire out of this grant. We've spent it down at this point, and we'll be closing it out after these 5 are demolished.
Thank you. Councilman Felder.
Are the demolition funds coming from the MDNR trust fund, or are they coming out of general funds?
No, the city is required to pay for the demolition, so the fund only paid for the acquisition, the relocation benefits, and all costs associated with the acquisition.
Thank you.
Thank you. No other comments? We have this item on the agenda for council action.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with David C. Hoffman and Sons Incorporated in the amount of $88,000 for the following building demolitions: 1026 to 1028 Perry Street, 1030 Perry Street, 1232 East Elm Avenue, 1240 East Elm Avenue, and 1261 East Elm Avenue, and appropriate an additional $13,200 or 15% contingency for the project, and authorize the city manager to sign the agreements on behalf of the city.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Stelgrave on the item regarding the MDNR demolition bid item that was added to the agenda. And clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stilgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item.
Your Honor.
It's August, so Councilwoman Stelgrave, comments this evening?
Yes, I have a few.
Okay.
I want to say, wow, Thursday night shout was amazing. Very well attended. I have to say that Amy Mason, Parks and Rec, the Department of Public Safety, everybody that was involved in it, amazing job. It was wonderful. The fair parade yesterday as well was pretty good. I was there selling peanuts for the Kiwanis. The fair is going to be a great time. I was there last night. We'll be going there tonight. And I want to remind everyone to get out and vote tomorrow, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Viney.
Your Honor, I just wanted to thank Mr. Lewis and Mr. Leroy for finishing the Conant Street project. We appreciate it. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Councilwoman Germaine.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, good luck to all the candidates tomorrow for the voting, and get out and vote. Help them all out. And this Thursday at 11 a.m., finally, the Lake Erie Transit bus station will be opening right here in City Hall, if we get the key. It's been a long time waiting for this. It's been probably over 2 years, and it'll help out our passengers, and the employees will have a break room, and the restrooms will be available for the public for all the events downtown. So it's a win-win for everyone. So, and thank you, Patrick, for everything you've done to help.
Thank you. Councilman Lamore.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to echo Councilwoman Stilgrave's about shout on Thursday. It was absolutely well attended. And I've talked with a lot of the residents, and they would like to see more of that, obviously. And just to let you know, we are working hard and diligently to try to make more of those things happen in the city, working with different groups and whatnot to see what we can do to keep the crowds downtown like that. That is an awesome thing to see. Also, don't forget to vote tomorrow if you have not voted already. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Felder.
No comments this evening, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Whitman.
Yeah, I have no comments other than to repeat what has already been said, so.
Mine are, I guess, thank you. Mine are along the same way. I hope if you have not already done your absentee ballot, please vote in the primary. There's every vote is important, and every race is important. So I want to make sure that we're looking at all those contested seats and take our opportunity to vote. And I'm going to leave the rest of the clerk to talk about how that is going to progress through tonight and tomorrow. And but I have one more item. It's already been said about the concerts in the park. We'll have another meeting before the last concert in the park, which is in 2 weeks, which is the 18th. Thank you. And you can come see the Pink Flamingos. It's a great group. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm sure there'll be a lot there. But I also want to mention it's also the same night as the Ducky Dash, which the Downtown Monroe Business Network is putting on. Always a fun activity event. So both those kind of coincide, and I'm sure there'll be opportunities for, I know the ice cream person was there, and there might be other items. We'll see how those come in. But please take the opportunity to come down. And while it's the last scheduled concert in the park, I know that, as was mentioned, there's others that have greater interest in also holding concerts. It's just a necessity to do. Just call the city hall or fill out the application online and make the request. And if the venue's open, I know that there was a couple service requests that may occur for on a Sunday, but also just concerts as well. So while the concerts in the park from the city's planning may cease here on the 18th, there's still opportunities through other days of those that wish to put those type of events on. So I'll stop there, and Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
A couple of things. The primary is tomorrow, so the precincts will be open in the city of Monroe. And if you're watching this from another community in Monroe County and in the state of Michigan, all the precincts in the state open at 7 a.m. tomorrow, and they close at 8 p.m. If you have an absentee ballot and you haven't cast it yet, you can still bring that to City Hall and do so. If you've changed your mind and you have your absentee ballot and you haven't turned it in and would prefer to vote at the precincts, you can do that. Just bring your ballot with you. They will, you will surrender it at the precinct, excuse me, and then you will be able to vote you will be able to vote a ballot in the precinct. So there's still many options to cast your ballot. Again, the precincts open at 7, they close at 8. I will be spending quite a bit of time out in the field tomorrow. That's how I'm choosing to manage this election. It's a good opportunity to, I've been out in the field, but I haven't spent as much time as I'm intending to tomorrow, and really see how things operate. So if someone sees me out there and they have a comment for the clerk, I'll be available and I'll be around. And that's
Very good.
all I
Thank
have.
you. I want to thank you for all the preparation and those that are going to be assisting your election inspectors and election support staff. It doesn't happen without the residents and their support. So I thank you for all those efforts and bringing good people together.
Yes, and I will be talking about those folks certainly after the election, after we've had a successful election. They're great, and as I tell everyone, elections, especially in the state of Michigan, where we're decentralized, really don't happen without community members stepping up and being willing to take part in it. So, and it also doesn't work if the voters don't come out. So hopefully we'll see a lot of people out tomorrow. We're ready.
Thank you. We're always looking for volunteers. There's many opportunities. Mr. Pastu.
Your Honor, a couple items. This afternoon, Mr. Lewis, Mr. Cochran, and I were meeting with Fishbeck, the consultants related to the MLK Bridge project. And a couple weeks ago, I think I had sent in an update to council. We really need to take a hard look at the park plan for St. Mary's Park. One of our challenges is dealing with ADA compliance and some of the functionality, I think, that goes along with that bridge project, particularly the ramps on the north side of the river. And so, one of the things I'll probably bring it back at the next work session to talk about how we're going to approach this, because there's some challenges with it, and I think we probably need to have a small group assembled just to kind of look at the alternatives that'll be necessary for this project to proceed. So more to come in a couple weeks, but clearly I think we knew it before. It was obvious today that we've got to kind of revisit aspects of that park plan that was adopted a little over 5 years ago. The other thing with it is the park plan, or not sorry, park plan, but the river cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, August 13th, scheduled from 9 a.m. to noon. Meet up at the riverfront parking lot. I know that Dulce and the Mayas are participating with assistance with that, and then also A lot of the project funding is coming from different sources, the county environmental fund and their solid waste program as well. So that, again, is Saturday, August 13th from 9 a.m. to noon. Riverfront Park is the staging area for that annual activity. Mr. Cochran's probably not ready for this, but can you talk a little bit about the presentation for next work session with the Orchard East plan?
Sure. At the next city council meeting, we plan to have OHM advisors attend and participate, presenting the draft master plan for the Orchard East neighborhood. This is a project we've been working on for several months now with Councilwoman Vining and Councilman Felder on the task force. And so from 5 to 6 o'clock p.m., we're planning to have some large boards set up in the City Hall lobby for the public to view, and invite them to come and participate and comment before the city council work session at 6 o'clock. That we're also going to invite the planning commission to attend and participate, and go through the draft master plan with both bodies, gather feedback before finalizing it and presenting the final draft and document for adoption.
Thank you.
And I think the next meeting's going to be fairly lengthy. I was looking at a couple of closed session items, and you know how I like to put those preceding the regular meeting. It's going to be at the end, so we'll have a handful of items for the meeting on the 15th. That'll probably run a little bit longer than what they normally do. So that's all I have tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pastuda. I'll just, final comment, the river cleanup, I am glad to hear about that. It's always a great event for the community, from young to old, and the opportunity to walk in the river where it's shallow, of course, and help clean up. And like I said, there's always some good food or beverages afterwards. And from Agua Dulce and Amaya is going to be there, plus others. So if you have the opportunity, you're available on that date, Saturday, August 13th, please stop down. It's fun. And I know that we all have met with the students at the schools, and this is the one item I tell them they could come and really have fun and see other people they know they're helping in the community. So I'll end with that. Next is citizens' comments. So for those present here this evening, if there's any comments from those present, just be mindful of the rules of the chamber. Please come to the podium, state your name, jurisdiction, or residence. But also you have 3 minutes to say what it is you wish or questions you have, and see what we can do. Any comments from those present here this evening? Any comments? Seeing no public comments.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Germaini to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Yes. Germaini? Yes. Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Yes. Whitman? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. And thank you all for being here.